This week on ANN, the Adventist Church in North America elects a new president.
Hundreds march for justice and healing in Minneapolis.
And ADRA Kenya provides resources to disabled families in the country.
These stories and more coming up.
Thank you so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, the Executive Committee of the North American Division, or NAD, of the Seventh-day Adventist Church voted on July 7 to recommend the name of G. Alexander Bryant for the position of NAD President.
Bryant's name was presented to the Executive Committee by the Nominating Committee, which met on July 6. The General Conference Executive Committee will meet virtually on July 9 to receive the recommendation and elect the new NAD President.
The division's nominating committee is termed a standing committee appointed by the NAD Executive Committee in 2015. The nominating committee has recommended the names of individuals to the Executive Committee for votes during the past 5 years in order to fill division vacancies.
Glendward Alexander, known as Alex Bryant, has most recently served as both Executive Secretary of the NAD and Associate Secretary of the GC, a position he's held since October 2008. Before coming to the division, Bryant served as the president of the Central States Conference in Kansas City, Kansas, for 11 years.
On July 1, more than 200 in-person and online guests bid a fond farewell to former president of the North American Division, or NAD, Daniel R., and his wife, Donna, during a 2-hour celebration of their ministry and leadership.
Each ministry, service, and entity of the division had the opportunity to share memories and messages for the Jacksons, who officially retired on July 1.
Vice Presidents of the division, union presidents, and special guest General Conference President Ted N.C. Wilson and his wife Nancy also spoke at the event, which concluded with final thoughts from the Jacksons and a closing prayer by Ivan Williams, Sr., NAD Ministerial Association Director.
Jackson made many contributions during his 10 years of service at the division, including the building up of the NAD Ministerial Association, multilingual ministries and stewardship department, the creation of a missional strategic plan, and the addition of the Guam Micronesia Mission, Oakwood University, Pacific Press Publishing Association, Advent Source, and Christian Record Services for the Blind.
Jackson also oversaw the division moving to its own headquarters in Columbia, Maryland in 2017. During his time, record tithe came in annually. Almost 1,000 churches were planted, more than 300,000 people were baptized.
Near the close of the celebratory event, union presidents, NAD officers, and others who worked especially close to the Jacksons shared their sentiments of appreciation via video.
In his message, Bryant thanked Jackson for being a Christian role model. You've modeled leadership, but not only that, you have modeled Christianity and what it means to be a part of the body of Christ and to feel like a brother and a sister. You and Donna have always felt and will always feel like a part of my family, he said. We wish you Godspeed and God's blessings as you move to another phase of your life. You'll be missed and never forgotten. God bless you.
For more information, visit nadadventist.org.
On Saturday, June 20, hundreds of youth and young adults took to the streets of Minneapolis, Minnesota, with a cry for justice and healing, an outreach event aimed at rebuilding the city and regaining a sense of peace. The event, held in the aftermath of George Floyd's murder on May 25, was attended by more than 350 volunteers, 16 Adventist churches, and officials from the Lake Region, Central States, and Minnesota conferences. The day began on the steps of Minneapolis First Church, just 8 minutes from the scene where Floyd's life was taken. In lieu of a traditional Sabbath worship service, volunteers, most of whom were under age 35, dispersed to one of 7 outreach locations in Minneapolis. Each station had a unique mission tailored to the needs and demographics of the neighborhood. All offered supplies, lunches, prayers, and a place to submit ideas of ways churches can sustain aid after the media attention subsides and police brutality is no longer a trending topic. Participants regrouped for a peaceful march to the George Floyd Memorial located at the intersection of East 38th Street and Chicago Avenue. After 8 minutes and 46 seconds of silence to commemorate the length of time Floyd was pinned to the ground by the police officer, flowers were laid at the site and solemn prayers offered up for all victims of racism and police brutality. Organizer of the event and youth pastor for the Kenyan Community Church, Ezra Kenyanya, shared with Director for the Center of Youth Evangelism, Ron Whitehead, why he was inspired to plan this event.
When we had all these unrest happen, a lot of young people were out there protesting already. And it showed that they have feelings, they have emotions, they're part of this. But the question is, where does my Christianity part come in? And so what I think is to give them a chance to be out there and speak to the world in a way that is different than the world is used. Not to stay silent, but to be there and speak and everything else. So that is why it's important. It helps build their faith. It helps build their all the knowledge, the theory they've always had, all the practical lessons they've learned in Pathfinder. You have a chance to be out there actually being able to take the church out of a building to the community. And that's the most powerful thing that I think I'm hearing from the young people.
As the novel coronavirus pandemic continues to spread across Kenya, lockdowns, closure of schools, and cancellation of public meetings have caused immeasurable disruptions. Prior to COVID-19, people with disabilities lived in a world of isolation. Still, the effects of the health crisis have been keenly felt. Persons with disabilities in Kenya face immense barriers, not just in their business, but in accessing government services and relief assistance. The Adventist Development and Relief Agency, or ADRA in Kenya, has met with nearly 60 families who have family members struggling because of their disabilities. ADRA provided hygiene kits comprised of hand sanitizers, bar soap, medicated soap, and toilet paper to families with people who are disabled. Most of their caregivers lost jobs due to coronavirus. ADRA also did cash transfers to help them buy food, medication, and even pay their outstanding house rents. ADRA project manager in Kenya, John Uogo, said, "To these families, ADRA has been their hope in time of need. When they felt forsaken and isolated, ADRA was to them the friend that sticks closer than a brother. Our COVID-19 response will be incomplete as long as persons with disabilities are left behind."
The Cole Bay Seventh-day Adventist Church in St. Martin recently hosted a community-wide food drive to assist dozens of families still struggling to cope with the effects of the pandemic. Church member volunteers gathered earlier in June to prepare 125 hampers, which included canned and dry goods, beverages, and more. Leader of the food drive, Denise Cornett, said that many families are struggling to cope with the mental, emotional, and financial challenges brought on by COVID-19. Prior to the food drive, a community needs assessment was done, which revealed the socioeconomic level of the community and allowed the task force to determine where to concentrate their efforts. Many lined up outside the church to pick up the hampers. Other boxes were delivered to homes in the community. Pastor Virgil Sams, who leads the congregation, said that church members are always willing to take part in impacting the community in need. This was a compassionate response to a now hurting community which, during times of prosperity, consistently contributed in the church's annual in-gathering campaign, he said. The church collects donations from the community during an annual in-gathering campaign, which are in turn used in local communities for disaster relief and other humanitarian projects. At the end of the food drive, Sams thanked volunteers and contributors for their time and effort and encouraged them to keep giving. Local businesses were thanked for their discounts on the goods purchased to help dozens of families. The church also engaged in counseling, visiting the sick, and the elders in their homes or in hospitals, as well as nurturing community health.
To date, 79.5 million people have been forced to live far from their homes, according to data released by the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. Ecuador has more than 69,000, the largest number of recognized refugees. The majority of them are Colombians and Venezuelans who arrive at different border zones with hope and the few belongings they manage to bring from their homelands. South America's Adventist Development and Relief Agency, or ADRA, unit in Ecuador, tirelessly works to serve this vulnerable community by carrying out humanitarian aid projects, chiefly in the cities of Huaquillas and Santo Domingo. The work is undertaken with various local humanitarian agencies as well as the UNHCR itself. ADRA runs the Temporary Accommodation Center, where families find living space. The center also provides them with the care they need to help them find a stable place to start if they choose to remain in Ecuador, and assistance if they need to return to their country of origin. An average number of 200 people so far this year have received immediate help from ADRA Ecuador. A helping hand for vulnerable people is what ADRA has become in Ecuador, especially now in time of pandemic. The agency works on various humanitarian aid projects and highlights the importance of giving those who need it most a message of hope and compassion.
Blending drama, music, and faith, a new video web series asks and answers the spiritual question of how Christian living applies to daily life.
Recuadro, or Natural, is the latest addition to the Feliz 7 play programming catalog, an original production from the Adventist Church in South America's video aggregating platform.
Set in an Adventist boarding school, it tells the journey of a musical group and its conductor. In the struggle to be recognized, they forgot spirituality and Christ. This is the first Brazilian web series to join music and Christian living in a dramatic context.
The production also portrays the lives of two completely different characters who have just arrived at the boarding school. One of them is Rodrigo, former singer of a rock band, and Vivi, daughter of a very traditional pastor. As part of the musical group, everyone grows together in their personal and spiritual life, joining forces in the face of the difficulty.
The recordings took place at the Adventist University Center of Sao Paulo and were attended by students and employees of the institution.
Recuadro is also an initiative of the Adventist Church's youth ministry. The first episode aired July 3 on feliz7play.com.
Coming up, the new strategic focus for Adventist Church was launched just last weekend. But what exactly is Reach the World, I Will Go?
Find out right after the break.
Welcome back.
Over the weekend, the Seventh-day Adventist Church launched the new strategic focus for the next 5 years, Reach the World, I Will Go.
The Friday night program included mission stories, music, and information about the new strategic plan, while Sabbath school lesson was taught by evangelist Mark Finley. The morning was capped off by a sermon by General Conference President Ted N.T. Wilson.
As a continuation of the Reach the World strategic plan, I Will Go offers something for the whole church. It's a tool to help the church be more focused and effective in performing critical tasks.
Reach the World, I Will Go is rooted in the Great Commission found in Matthew 28, which calls Jesus' followers to go and make disciples of all nations. The details of the plan reflect data collected from Adventist members through several research studies. This information identifies areas that can help us as Seventh-day Adventists grow spiritually and become more effective in our mission to the world.
Want to know more about what Reach the World I Will Go is and how you can be involved? We created this video to help explain more.
So I've heard the church talk about this plan called I Will Go. It's got my attention, but what is it?
I Will Go is the brand new strategic plan for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The phrase is rooted in key passages like Isaiah 6, when Isaiah responded to God's call by saying, "Here am I, send me." And Matthew 28, when Jesus said, "Therefore go and make disciples." Now it's our turn. The strategic plan is part of our response. It will do two things. 1, equip you with what you need to embrace your call to mission. And 2, provide you with indicators to track your progress as you respond, "Okay, Jesus, I will go."
I think I'm following, but what is that mission?
I'm glad you asked. Our mission as Adventists is to make disciples of Jesus Christ who live as his loving witnesses and proclaim to all people the everlasting gospel of the three angels' messages in preparation for his soon return. It is a big task, but no one has to do it alone. We have a massive support system of more than 21 million members in over 160,000 congregations throughout the world.
Phew, that's a lot of members. Have we made progress?
With that many, how could we not? But we're always open to improvement. I Will Go builds on the success of our previous strategic plan called Reach the World, where we set out to,
Let me guess. Reach the world?
what gave it away? Following Reach the World, the church evaluated the effectiveness of our different initiatives worldwide to gain valuable insights for the future. Basically, after years of work and research, we developed that evaluation system and transformed it into a strategy that will run from 2020 to 2025, which we're calling I Will Go.
Okay, evaluation. Got it. What happens with those insights? Adventist church leaders create a plan and then what? Just tell the world what to do?
Not at all. All that research will only be worthwhile if Adventists all around the world engage, collaborate, and innovate right where they are. I Will Go isn't about telling you what to do. It's about helping you follow through with what God has already placed on your heart. Every spiritual influencer needs support to be successful, and the church wants to provide that.
Ooh, I like the idea of getting support. So how does it work?
I Will Go is made up of 10 objectives that are divided into 3 areas of impact: mission, spiritual growth, and leadership. Each objective has its own key performance indicators, or KPIs for short. KPIs are measurable ways to help you determine whether or not you are achieving your current objective. There's no sign-up needed. They're there for you as you need them. Think of them like segments in a progress bar.
Progress tracking sounds great, but what if I don't even know where to start?
Don't worry. The KPIs also serve as a sort of brainstorming tool with examples to help you get started. Some KPIs are intended for those in church leadership roles. Others are intended for individuals like you and me. And the objectives can help you determine which KPIs to use. The great thing is, if the Holy Spirit inspires you to create something completely new that isn't on the list, yet accomplishes the mission, go for it.
What about church initiatives we've already been doing? Does this mean that we'll replace them?
Nope. Initiatives like digital evangelism or revival and reformation are actually methods of fulfilling the I Will Go plan. Take, for example, the TMI initiative.
Too much information?
No, total member involvement.
Oh, I've heard of that. It's where all members of the Adventist Church are involved in some form of intentional mission.
Yes, sir. TMI is just one way to fulfill the I Will Go plan because it seeks to involve everyone. I'd share more, but I don't want to give you too much information.
I see what you did there. So basically, the I Will Go strategy helps Adventists like me create brand new initiatives and improve the initiatives that we already do.
You got it. I Will Go is not some feel-good slogan for lukewarm members to comfortably observe mission from afar. If we're serious about completing the mission, we need to strategize. That's why we're urging all who bear the Adventist name to understand and embrace the I Will Go strategic plan, from the areas of impact down to the KPIs. We may talk the talk, but the I Will Go plan translates our mission into tangible, realistic goals in order to walk the walk. By applying them, we can ensure we practice what we preach.
I think I get it now. This is a rallying cry for Adventists everywhere to fully embrace the calling God has placed on them. Jesus commanded, "Therefore go and make disciples of all nations." And this is our opportunity to say, "I will go."
Whenever the Holy Spirit inspires you with ideas for how you and your local church can make an impact,
we challenge you to respond, "I will go."
For more information, visit iwillgo2020.org.
Coming up, David Trim is here to share what happened this week in Adventist history.
But up next, find out how a health seminar saved one family in Nigeria.
We may look, pray, read, think, worship, sing, and share differently, but we all look forward to the Sabbath. And we all look forward to the future when Jesus will come again. With this message in mind, we arrived at a core component for a new identity system: the creation grid, a simple 7-column structure for layout. The grid is a reference both to the prophetic timeline as well as to the creation week that culminated in the 7th-day Sabbath. Regardless of what or where you are designing, you can always find information to help you communicate that we are all Seventh-day Adventists.
Welcome back.
Iorina and his wife could not figure out what was making them so sick.
Then he discovered the silent killer that was slowly taking away their health right in their kitchen.
Adventist Mission has more.
There was a silent killer in Iorina's home.
Our family was eventually dying because of our kitchen, because what was produced from the kitchen was not healthy to the body.
It was slowly sapping the life and health of his family. Iorina and his wife got sick. Iorina was feeling worse every day. He felt so sick that he thought about committing suicide. That was until he discovered the silent killer that was slowly taking away their health.
The type of food we were using was already damaged food, overcooked and all that. When I came across one Seventh-day Adventist evangelist and I read through some of his literatures, I discovered that I was living a very wrong life.
A ray of hope came when Iorina learned of a health seminar organized by the nearby Adventist church. He asked his wife to go since he was feeling very sick. After the meeting, Iorina's wife came home, equipped with newfound knowledge.
As she made me feeling bad, she started applying water therapy on me. Straight. What she learned there, she never had idea about that ever. She applied the water therapy, cold and hot water on me, covering me, and before you know, I was sweating. We started having a new lifestyle.
The lessons from the health seminar had a tremendous impact on Iorina and his wife. Their yard, which was once full of chickens, is now empty. In its place, Iorina planted different types of medicinal and health-giving plants like moringa and aloe vera. The plants are all around their house. They also take advantage of fresh fruits and vegetables, which are abundant in Nigeria. Iorina is now living a healthy and happy life. He and his wife are ambassadors of the health message, teaching what they learn to anyone they can. They started building a small space in front of their house where they can teach people about health and the Bible. They've also used to start a small Bible study group. But Iorina is just one man, and the city of Abuja has more than 3 million people who would benefit a lot from hearing the health message. This quarter, your 13 Sabbath offering will help build a medical center there. This center will help treat illnesses and show people a better way to live.
I look forward to a medical center that people will say that there's a health facility. When you go there, all you see is love within the health workers there. There's a health facility that when you go there, there's something else you receive apart from the routine things, routine services you see in other health facilities.
Please pray for the development of this health center and for the other projects this quarter. Thank you for supporting the 13th Sabbath offering.
Watch this and other mission stories online by visiting adventistmission.org. Then click on videos at the top.
And finally, for today's episode, let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history.
For some of this week, 35 years ago, the 54th General Conference session was meeting in New Orleans. It had convened on June 27 and concluded on July 6, 1985. Among its actions was to welcome into the Sisterhood of Unions the new South Brazil Union Conference. It was in the south of Brazil that the Seventh-day Adventist Church first became established. Here you see one of the first Adventist church buildings in Gaspa Alto in Santa Catarina province. The photograph shows visitors in the 1960s. The first union organization for the country of Brazil, the Brazil Union Conference, was founded in 1911. During 1918 and 19, a reorganization took place with two new unions created, and the old Brazil Union was renamed the South Brazil Union Conference. Starting with some 40 local churches and 3,000 members, by 1940, there were 57 local churches with 8,745 members. In the years following World War II, there was explosive growth in Brazil, much of which was still overseen by the South Brazil Union Conference. As a result, by the early 1980s, there were 180,000 church members meeting in almost 600 local churches, spanning well over 1 million square kilometers. It was just too big for any one union, and so the decision was taken to divide it into Central Brazil and South Brazil Union conferences. But the Central Brazil Union kept the old headquarters, and so the South Brazil Union built a new headquarters building, which you see here in a photo taken at its opening ceremony. Now, as the Adventist Church in Brazil has continued to grow, parts of the union have been moved into new union conferences, but the South Brazil Union Conference continues to share the gospel and the third angel's message. Here you see a new headquarters opened in 2015. The latest statistics show 173,000 church members worshiping in 2,100 congregations. Now, all of this comes from the article on the South Brazil Union Conference in the Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists online. If you go to encyclopedia.adventist.org, that website again, encyclopedia.adventist.org, you can read all about the history of the South Brazil Union and many other regions of the church, other union conferences in Brazil, and organizations and individuals from around the world. Now, also in this week in Adventist history, July 9, 1974, Gustav Lindsay died in Portland, Oregon. Lindsay had been a union president, division treasurer, division president, and general conference departmental director. So he will have an article in the Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists, but he doesn't have one yet. In fact, we don't even have an author for that article yet. If you would like to write on Gustav Lindsay, or if you find on the SDA website any other article that needs an author and you're interested in, please let us know, because we'd be very glad to hear from you. There is a contact form at the website, encyclopedia.adventist.org. That was this week in Adventist history.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
We'd love to hear from you. Send us your feedback and tell us how your church is making a difference in its community.
Be sure to capture plenty of video footage and photos, then write up a summary of the event's important details. And feel free to send full video reports as well.
You can reach us by sending an email to annvideo11@gmail.com.
Before we say goodbye, here's some good news from the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 4.
The passage says, "He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away."
That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.